Greetings and blessings, beautiful souls. Welcome to my channel. This is Alicia Barney Matahari. Welcome back if you're visiting again, and if you're stopping by for the first time, I am so grateful to have all of you here and sharing in your energy, and I appreciate the opportunity to read for you. My readings are timeless and they are collective readings, so take only what resonates and leave the rest. So today we're doing a pick a card. We have got 3 piles before you, and our topic today is what's cooking for you? What is simmering in your cauldron? So let's get into it and look at the pile choices. We have got pile number 1. We've got this gorgeous flat howlite crystal, and we've got this gorgeous Starseed Essences Emerald Matrix Essence. And pile number 2, we've got this lovely double pointed smoky quartz crystal, and we have got the Pleiadian Light Monatomic Andara Essence, also from Starseed Essences. And pile number 3, we've got Wild Child Essence. And this is a fawn, and it's from Wild Earth, but I got it from Starseed Essences. And your crystal is this gorgeous double-pointed clear quartz crystal that I mined myself. Mining being a loose term, but it comes from Arkansas, and it was gifted to me by Mother Gaia herself. So I'm going to give you a moment to ask your higher self which pile is resonating for you. Take a screenshot if you want to, and decide which pile you're having, and I'm going to get started with pile number 1. I'm going to pop the 1 over here so we know which pile we're on, and I will just take these away for pile number 2 and pile number 3. All right, pile number 1. Let's look at your cards first, and then we'll pull some tarot. Ooh, you've got Barney. Okay, we need to cover her up. So we are going to do that with some crystals because YouTube doesn't like us to show naked stuff. And here we go. So Barney is your nakshatra card. These are soul cards. They're from a soul deck, so there's no they're kind of visual. So you can kind of look at this yourself and feel the vibration of the card, but I'm already getting some messages for you. Very, very, very powerful energy. Woo! Pile number 1. The fairy who was kissed by the pixies. Delightful. And we'll put you up here. And from the animal medicine cards, we have got Otter Spirit. Card number 8. Gorgeous. That's reminding me of 8th house energy, which ties in very, very strongly with Barney. And I'm getting Barney is really being echoed in this for me. So let's put that here. Okay, I'm sorry if you can hear my little angel. She's about to start barking. So first and foremost, let's just talk about Barney. So Barney, the symbol, which I've covered up, is actually the yoni. It's number 2 in this deck, and it comes, I think it comes after, it's Venus, it's a Venus ruled nakshatra, and its deity is Yama, which is the god of death. So it's also in Aries, if you can see. So it's wholly and fully in Aries, but it's a Venus ruled nakshatra. So in this nakshatra, you've got the play of the Venus and Mars energies. and She Who Bears. And this here, these are really beautiful cards. The She Who Bears, I'm seeing the river Styx here. And this is really like the word that comes really strongly to mind when I think about Barney is bardo. So bardo is kind of the transition between worlds. Bardo, you can think of like, let's say, a death doula that helps people transition, you know, from this life to the next life or to the other side, or a birth doula welcoming souls into this earthly plane. And of course, Venus is a female, or a feminine energy, a feminine planet, and Mars is both a malefic and a male planet. And the female elements would be water and earth, and the male elements would be fire and air. So I just really getting very strongly. And then of course this from the river Styx is from, well, in the tarot it's like it's this represented with the Six of Swords, but it's really the going to the other side. And oh my goodness, if you want to know a lot about Barney, Claire Nocte has a series of like really, really long videos on her channel dealing with Barney energy. And she recommends a bunch of movies. And personally, like I've got Barney very strongly in my chart. Ha ha ha, Barney Matahari. But she recommends some great movies. And what was really noticeable about when I watched her series was a lot of the movie content, the actors, some of my favorite actors like Christina Ricci and the one that was in Penelope Cruz, deal with these energies about transitioning between worlds. And there's a beautiful, and of course, Venus is the arts and earth and all that beautiful Empress kind of energy as well. And the movie that's really sticking out to me is the one with Robin Williams where I'll think of it in a minute, but I'm going to keep moving. She Who Bears. So very strongly duality. You're alchemizing, metabolizing any of the lessons and the karmic stories and relationships, not only to, other people, definitely to other people, but also to situations, belief systems, worldviews. I feel like you are, Bharani is truth as well. It's the highest elevation of being, of purity that you're cooking up. And that's, it's the truth of who you are. And that's just what you bring. It's also reminding me of Kali, from the Indian pantheon, from the Hindu pantheon. And Kali, she it's that fire energy. I mean, that's the dark mother kind of side of it, but she slays the attachments. She burns that which no longer serves us. So I think you're really, really working with that energy in this lifetime, and you have a lot. And I remember seeing a documentary or another YouTube. I can't remember who it was, but somebody was talking about a Barney transit, and they were saying that a lot of Barney people, depending on how it's aspected in your chart, but when it's very prevalent in your chart, you can get to, let's say, kind of your mid-40s, and you could have been someone who maybe was really affected by projections and society and how life is, and then kind of in your midway through your life, you're like, there's an awakening, and what am I doing, and why am I doing it this way? And then you just all become all about truth. So I don't know if that is true for you, but that's a lot of the energy of Barney. And also Barney for me is really I get a really strong vibe or impression of people who might be very drawn to the body and tantra and dance and all those Venusian ways, like high priestess energy, Hathor, spell work, but through the female kind of the female lineage, divine feminine approach to it. But in order to be able to do that, you need to be able to be in like very strong sexual essence. But that needs to be understood, very powerful. I mean, you've got red here, which is a color of power as well. And I mean, look at this face. That is like birth and death. And the thing about when you consent, the Tibetan Book of the Dead, and there's a Hindu version of it as well. I think it was written by Shivananda. And when you consent to incarnating, you're automatically consenting to death. That's part of it. When you're born, you've got to, because we live in a world that's 3D and our bodies decay, and I'm hearing that, do not build your kingdom on the earthly realms. Of course, I'm paraphrasing. So we've got earth, outcast, and elephant. And elephant is reminding me also of Ganesh. And Ganesh really shows up for me a lot, and that brings me to otter spirit. And the 8th house. So 8th house is all that stuff that we stuff down. So it deals with sexuality. It deals with kind of those things that are taboo. So maybe you grew up in, for example, a very religious background, and there may be that the good girl versus, the purity, like honor, like there might be shame around things we push down. So maybe, you came from in the Catholic Church, for example, and in times gone past, women at a certain time of the month were not allowed into the church and all that kind of thing. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, but having play around sexuality and really understanding it and navigating it from like when you're a tiny little tot, it's all cute and whatever, but then a woman goes through these stages and she's looked upon differently and she's treated differently and her body changes and she doesn't always know that that's how she's being perceived. And if she's not nurtured through that, and that's also replicating for me another kind of bardo, but it's like an earthly bardo as we go from, infancy through, adolescence, through development, through adulthood, through the childbearing years, and then middle age, and then the crone kind of phase. So it's like, it's these transitions all through life. And of course, the 8th house is the house of sexuality and transformation, and it's of course scorpionic as well. And Venus, or Taurus and Scorpio are on the same opposite ends of the light grid as well. So there could be a connection there as well. So a lot of Tauruses, I remember reading, for example, that Taurus, when Taurus and Scorpio, they can have really, really good relationships and really, really toxic relationships. And every individual has the ability to operate from an elevated perspective or not. And when you're not dealing with somebody who's operating from an elevated perspective, and you haven't elevated yourself, and I'm talking about your auric field and how accepting Spirit's cup and moving from a heart-centered place and serving the soul rather than moving from an egoic place and moving from love rather than lust. And then this card here, the soul card, I mean, that is just screaming bardo to me as well. Absolutely, 100%. So I feel like you're really, really good also at not only doing this for yourself, because it's the essence of who you are is what's coming out for me. But then we've got here play and just this, I mean, look at her. This is you. She's absolutely stunning. She is surrounded by community and love, and she's glowing in just the light of, I'm feeling, she's obviously a fairy, but with that, I'm getting real angelical vibes from that. And I'm getting, nature nymph, woodland nymph as well. I mean, you have so many facets and we had the emerald matrix here as well. And we also had the howlite, and howlite is a calming energy. So that's reminding me of grounding. So you may have been born into, or maybe have been through some real tough and turbulent times. And I'm hearing from Serenity, James Allen, the Serenity, he has written this most beautiful little book called As a Man Thinketh, and it's from it's over 100 years old, I believe. But he says, tempest tossed souls. I feel like you've been through the tempest, and the way it's just beautifully worded. But I'm also getting Emerald Matrix, and that's immediately bringing me to Hathor and the Emerald Tablets, Egypt, Mother Isis, all that lineage, and that's bringing me straight back to Bharani. So I feel like that is whether or not that is something that you have embodied in your life or are interested in embodying in your life, I feel like that's part of your DNA, I'm just seeing it on a cellular level, just bubbling in your being, in your auric field. And see how she is here and how this figure is here. I feel like your human body that you agreed to embody on this planet, I'm getting that born Shmexi yesterday energy, which is also Rohini, which is also Taurus, which is also, I think it's Venus, but I'd have to look it up. But it's giving me that when, that damsel kind of energy and having all this power, and maybe you didn't recognize the power that you have, but your energy is so huge around it that you probably were very magnetic to people. Otter medicine. The otter medicine is very, very playful. It's also another feminine energy. And otters are very curious, but they're also, again, the word that's coming to me is coquettish. So again, we've got that the vast spread, pun intended, of the damsel through to the crone, from as above, so below, as within, so without. And, this long, and Taurus as well. And Taurus is very much the Knight of Pentacles kind of energy, chop wood, carry water. So I'm getting that whole lifetime. And then we've got the 2 for duality as well. So that's really sticking out to me. We haven't even pulled any tarot cards for you yet. And of course, Mother Gaia in nature here is just really, really strong. And I feel like if you are not connected to the Fae, I feel like you are connected to the Fae. That you've got fairy in you for sure, for absolute sure. The otter medicine is also like that demure yesterday. That was joyful, sisterhood, but it's a recognition that it's that beautiful female energy of sisterhood. It's not that mean girl energy. And that's reminding me of the children of Lear, and that's a beautiful Celtic tale where a mother who is it's about 2 sisters, and one of them is that sisterhood, and one of them becomes kind of driven by envy. So the otter spirit has shown me that you may have been around a lot of that kind of mean girl energy, cattiness, whether it's coming from males, men, women, whoever, however people identify. It doesn't always have to be, in Regina George format, but that energy signature I feel like has been thrown at you a lot, and you've had to metabolize it, alchemize it, but you're also very good at helping others with their transformations. And you bring a really, you're very connected to your inner child. You're very good at helping others connect with their inner child. Their inner child feels safe around you. I feel like you're very grounding to other people, and you really do help to, from whatever path you have walked and whatever relationships you've been through, you have really helped others to deal with their transitions, to deal with their death energy, to deal with things that they have lost, to deal with their grief, to deal with, going from one stage of life to another. Your energy is just such that it's grounding and people feel safe around you. But also they like to have you around. You're color. Look at this card. You're so colorful. This is Queen energy. Queen Morna. It's reminding me of the new book of love. So it's death defying love is Barney energy, and I still can't remember the name of the movie. But I feel like that you would never just marry for money, for example, because it would be so, like, you have to have a heart connection to kind of get down in the bedroom, because otherwise you're like, what's the point? You just don't do superficial. You have incredible depth. It just wouldn't be fulfilling or satisfying to you. And in order to feel that, you have to feel that from yourself first. And I feel like with Ganesh and with Otter Spirit and with the Fae, that power is really accessible to you through play and through your body and through Mars, that also rules over the body. So maybe you really like intensive workouts. Maybe your body like really comes alive when you're doing, insane abs or something like that, and you're listening to like some kind of crazy song that, you just absolutely love. And it's reminding me also of the new book of love, which was the new book of love by Bell Hooks, which I read years ago. And it talks about how in modern society, at least in Western society, like love is so connected to Valentine's Day and romantic love, but there's such a vast array of love, from maternal love, paternal love, the love between two people, love for your siblings, love for nature, love for the joy of just being alive, obviously love for God, love for self, everything, and just being able to connect to that. I feel like you have that in spades, and a lot of people may be drawn to that in you. The Queen Morna also, she talks about unconditional love. To me, she's kind of got that Kuan Yin, Holy Mother Mary energy of the Fae. And Queen Morna talks about, when you love, you grieve also, because, we have grandmas who pass away. We lose, we can't hold on to everything all the time. We have to make space for the new. And that's reminding me of the redwood trees in the sequoias in I came up close and personal with them near Lake Tahoe, and they're just so beautiful, but they actually require a forest fire to be able to regenerate. So there needs to be a controlled burn in order for them to literally reproduce. And look at them, they're the giants of, the tree kingdom, for sure. I'm going to pull some tarot for you. So there's a bittersweetness to it, and there is, and we're gonna use the New Elements Tarot because it's calling to me for you, pile number one. This is such beautiful, such powerful energy, and first up is the sun. Oh my goodness. And we've got sunflowers. So I really feel like nature is, your essence, your philosophies. Maybe you are someone who, has really changed philosophies. You're open like a flower. And then we've got, this is 3 of Earth. So that is, that's the beehive in this deck. And the bee is interesting as well because the bumblebee, apparently the bumblebee is not supposed to be able to, like, aerodynamically, it shouldn't be able to carry its weight, but it can. So it kind of defies gravity in a way. So now I'm feeling like I'm hearing Wicked. Wheel of Fortune. Oh my goodness. Like your essence, your collaboration, your working, it turns the Wheel of Fortune for you. People may have said that you were lucky, but you have good karmas, and also you work and you collaborate. You never take what is not yours. You never go after something. And that's interesting because the 8th house is also the house of other people's money. And I'm getting your generative, but I'm also getting Queen Bee for you as well. So, judgment. So I feel like when people come across you and have put you through it, because I can see from your journey and I can feel from your energy that you have been around some some darkness, and you have had to metabolize that, alchemize that, and I feel like nature would be really grounding for you. So I don't know if you live in nature, but I feel like you would be really drawn to nature, and I feel like nature would be really healing for you. And you're someone who needs to be aware and is deeply aware of your own rhythm and is drawn to that. And that's reminding me again of that, like, whatever environment you grew up in, the leaving of the Garden of Eden, because you cannot be running around in other people's energy and operate from there. I mean, most of us can't, but especially for you, it's just not the truth of who you are. And I feel like it would make you sick if you didn't reset and ground. And I think that that's really strongly for you, probably in the arts, the Venusian themes, and the Mars themes, like strong workouts, having a healthy body, tantra, nature, the arts, like expressing yourself. Venus also rules the neck and the throat, so you may have had your voice silenced or stolen, but your energy is so loud that that I'm getting that crucible, like you may have had to burn other people's projections, and that could have been a very painful experience for you. You're highly abundant. This is the 10 of Pentacles. This is, you can see the grapes on the vine, and that's reminding me of Athena. And Athena is a goddess of wisdom. She is a goddess of war. So that again is the Venusian and the Venusian and the Mars themes repeatedly. So the tarot cards are really backing up what's coming out in yours. And then we've got the Fool. I love this Fool card. And then we've got the Crocodile here, and that Venus is said to be inwardly serene and is outwardly serene and inwardly corrosive. And what that kind of says too is that the tendency would be, Venus has a tendency, if she doesn't practice self-love, that she can turn her toxicity towards herself rather than to others. So there may have been, you may have had a rebirth. Again, we're back to that midlife of like, oh, I need to be in my own truth. I need to be in my own energy. I need to be on my own rhythm. And I need to build for me. And they will come. So you're someone who I believe is generative, but needs to build. Now we've got the 8 of Pentacles. That's a builder card as well. Slow and steady wins the race. And look, that we have the elephants repeated here as well. And I was reading something about elephants. I forget what it was. Forget the book. It's something about something nest. If I think of it, I'll put it in the description box. And that, what dreams may come. That's the movie I was trying to think of. That's the Death-Defying Love. It's beautiful. It's such a beautiful movie. If you're visually and emotionally taken on a ride through a movie, I would highly recommend it. But this, The Evolved Nest, that's the name of the book. And it was talking about how elephants, when the baby elephant is born, and I think elephants carry the pregnancy is 2 years or something like that. But when the baby is born, the whole community of the mothers all gather around this newborn, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful kind of beautiful energy. Now we've got the Son of Earth for you, which is that's the Knight of Pentacles. So again, chop wood, carry water. You have that methodical, I'm gonna build with spirit, build from my heart. You're not hacking. You're not looking for a shortcut. Your energy is just, it's so grounded. It's so powerful. It's so effervescent and beautiful. Like, I'm just seeing this. Your energy is like, this card is just showing me your energy. Another thing about Athena we talked about is she also, the emerald is a symbol of Athena as well. And then to end it all off, we've got the King of Wands, the Father of Air, and the Emperor, and the Star. Pile number 1. You are if you're not already known in your field, or you're strong in your field, or you are, you have built something, I feel like that's in the cards for you. Duality is really, really something that you have had to master. You may have been so abundant and so rich and so star-like and so healing to others that they may have literally fed off of you. And you have to learn how to be the emperor in your own life. You have to be able to have the strength of a tempered Mars, not an immature Mars. So I was recommended to work with the deity Bagalamukhi, and she helped me. Her mantra has helped me kind of temper my Mars energy. So that could be something that you have done, or wherever you are in the process, it might be something that you're drawn to as well. But this energy, this is what's in your cauldron. This is who you are. You are a powerhouse, but your power comes from play, from Venus and Mars, and from your ability to really walk the world. I feel like that you're somebody who probably can astral project, who can, if you don't know how to do that at this time, like maybe it happens in your sleep, but also with that comes the protection of learning how to protect your own aura and your own energy, so that you're not fed off of, and that you're the one who calibrates what energy you're giving out to others. And that I'm hearing Maya Angelou, I did not put the wounds there, but it is my responsibility to heal. So with this amount of power in your energy, it is up to you, and that's what you consented to coming in this form, to enjoy your life, number one, and to wield this energy in a way that honors yourself and honors spirit. And I'm feeling that is exactly the path that you were on. You have said yes to spirit. You have another tenet, I want to say, in Tantra is that the balance between the male and the female. So, the moon and the sun energy. So the moon energy is the female energy and the sun energy is the male energy. And you will only submit to God and to men who have learned how to, and men, Yama energy, that's the god of death. So they have to learn how to restrict that schmexual power and only submit to a woman, a witch, a priestess, a divine feminine needs to submit only to a man who has learned how to control his energy, male and female, but particularly his sexual energy, and to only submit to he who is worthy of her. And that has got nothing to do with what's in his bank account, and that has nothing to do with what what he says. It has everything to do with what he does and how he shows up and how he treats you, and the cohesion that he has and that his life reflects it. And of course, he will be on his own trajectory. He will be walking his own path, his own transitioning, his own human bardo. And, he's in process also. But that's, again, whether I'm using a man and a woman as the example, but take that how it applies in your own life. So pile number one, that's what I have for you. You are a lighthouse. You are a North Star for people. You bring so much richness and deliciousness to this world, and joy and color and music and art. You are art. You're walking, talking art. No matter what you do, it doesn't mean that you have to be an artist. You might be just how you show up in your life and how you appreciate and how you do you is the art itself. So thank you for incarnating. Thank you for being here. If you like my content, I would be so grateful if you would like, comment, share, subscribe, whatever works for you. And I am going to move on to pile number 2. So with that, thank you very much, pile number 1. And hopefully I'll see you again at another reading. All right. Bye, pile number 1. Okay. Pile number 2. Let's look at pile number 2. So for pile number 2, we had the Pleiadian light. And we had this gorgeous smoky quartz, the double-pointed smoky quartz. So first of all, pile number 2, let's put up the 2 as well, just so you know. So people who are late to the game know that it's pile number 2. Purva Bhadrapada. Okay, the former happy feet. Nice. Jupiter. Aquarius into Pisces. Ooh, and this is your soul card. I'm loving how it happened in pile 1 too. These two cards really kind of, both visually, the colors seem to complement, but also I'm seeing that I'm seeing that in what's being reflected in what I'm feeling from it. Your fairy card is Arval Parrot, and he's pointing to his throat. Number 50, card number 50. Oh my goodness, alligator spirit or alligator medicine from the medicine oracle deck. And it's kind of really matching your smoky quartz as well. And Pleiadian light. Interesting. So let's see where that leads us. So even the crocodile or alligator, excuse me, even the alligator, I mean, it's crazy that they wrote the same number. And we've got two 50s and 25. 25 is half of 50. So I'm just seeing some, I'm getting some messages for you already, pile number 2. So Purva Bhadrapada, it's the scorching or burning star. And we can see we've got the sword here. It's Aquarius into Pisces. And it's kind of got the energy of Jupiter, Saturn conjunction. And it's represented with this kind of two-faced, two-faced being, I guess. It's also the one-footed goat. And it's reminding me of the god that represents is this one. I can't say it. Aja Ekapada. Ekapada. I don't know how to say it. Anyway, but it's associated with storm and lightning, and that's kind of giving me Zeus, Thor. I'm getting a very strong masculine energy from it. We've got warrior, violent, visionary, idealistic, self-reliant. The scorching burning star and the former happy feet. And look at the flames all over. Passionate transformation. So I'm really seeing you cutting through the nonsense, cutting through the illusions, burning away the illusions and the Maya. And it's the power to use spiritual fire. And it's not so much a deity, this dude, it's an ancestor. So you're very strongly connected to your ancestors. And if you can see here, this is like a figure, like a spiral. And you know, they say that the spiritual path, and it shows up in nature all the time, that spiral. This is like the spiral, and it's eating its own tail, which is kind of reminding me of Rahu, which is the North Node. And Rahu is got an insatiable appetite and is chasing its own tail. And I'm actually seeing in Beetlejuice, the first one, where they open the door and then there's like all those snakes, and it's just a desert. And Rahu is the desert as well. So it's that ability to kind of, to me, what I'm getting from this is the ability to use the spiritual fire, the sword of truth, to burn away the illusions, to burn away the Maya. And of course, this guy is pointing to his throat, which is the throat chakra. The throat chakra is the first chakra of the ethers. It's the first chakra, etheric chakra. It's the first chakra that's not one of the earth elements. It's the first chakra. It's kind of the gateway to the next, to the other side, I guess, for lack of a better way of putting it. But this, what is it called? Aja Ekapada. It's the unborn dragon, unborn fire dragon. So I'm getting kind of, it's inside and it's bubbling. And then you've got storm and floods associated with this Purva Bhadrapada as well. And I remember hearing someone talk about previously how the difference between a flood and a hydroelectric plant, for example, is structure. So again, you've got depth, you've got water is the element of emotion. So if a flood, when you're flooded with emotions, you're drowning in that energy. But when you've got structure around it, and of course, an Aquarius is the water bearer. So when you've got that structure around the water, there's an ability to be able to use that water in a way where it's not destructive. And we're moving into the age of Aquarius. And I know it's Aquarius into Pisces, but the astrologically we go back the ways. So we're moving from Pisces into Aquarius, and I don't know why, but somebody else might do. So with this nakshatra, there's the risk of not mastering this, again, very powerful energy, is that you could fall into kind of the anger and the greed. And of course, it's a story between Jupiter and Saturn. They're both male. They're both masculine energies. They're both masculine planets. But Saturn is that planet of restriction, planet of karma. And there's a really great book. I forget what it is. It's by Liz Green. I think it's called Saturn, a new look at an old devil or something. But it really talks about, Saturn gets a bit of a bad rap because of the restriction. But restriction does not always mean bad. Because I'm thinking back to, kids like boundaries. If they don't know what the rules are, they don't really thrive. And again, I'm thinking about kids when they come back to their natural. They've done some studies that where they, when they have kids left to their own devices and they leave, they have the choice of having junk food, or they have the choice of having fruit, or healthy food that's good for their body. They actually naturally gravitate towards the healthier option, and a lot of they draw towards, I guess, the junk food and the sugar and all that jazz is like we project that on them, like through kind of bigging it up and calling it a treat and all that kind of stuff. So how we talk about things is really, really important, and how we present things is really, really important. And again, we're back to that, the Maya, the illusion. So I feel like you're really, really good and really strong at helping reframe things for people. The two-faced man. So again, that's reminding me of Gemini and of duality, having the harmony of, the consensus with your heart and your head. You don't want them to be fighting. You want your values. Sometimes you have two values which seem like that they're at odds. And again, we're back to kind of like, we have this idea that, if I was as rich as I wouldn't have to go and work for somebody else, and I'd have total freedom and blah, 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 blah. But then how many people, like there's a huge number of people who, and Jupiter is the planet of blessings and expansion. And the story, I never finished the story about Jupiter and Saturn, but Jupiter and Saturn had, Jupiter has the blessings, and with blessings come responsibility, and Saturn is the planet of restriction. But Jupiter had promises to be giving to Saturn, and then he just kind of was like, nah, and kept them all for himself. So there is the risk of allowing that expansion and the feel good in the moment to overshadow that restriction and that chop wood, carry water kind of energy. So with that power, like Saturn helps temper that Jupiterian expansion. And if you think about it, how many, a lot of a lot of spoiled children, for example, that grow up to be spoiled adults that have never had any accountability, it takes a really strong sense of self to be able to instill that in your own self after you've been kind of never held accountable in your life. You know, there's a lot of trust fund kids, and there's a lot of trust fund kids who do well, and then there's a lot of trust fund kids who, and I'm just using that as an example, who, you know, end up in, you know, in addiction. And maybe not trust fund kids, for example, but, you know, people who are around a lot of excess when they're young, that kind of thing. So you could be, yeah, so there's really that need to kind of purify the temptations. And then now I'm seeing the snake in the Garden of Eden, eat the apple, and knowing when to, and then there's that marshmallow test as well. You know, when they've done studies that the kids who can, if they're told, if you leave this marshmallow here and you don't eat it, you'll get a reward later. So for that delayed pleasure, the ability to be able to discipline yourself, and discipline meaning the ability to be able to give yourself a command and to be able to follow through on it. So self-discipline, self-leadership is something that Saturn teaches us, and that helps temper that Jupiterian potential for excess and self-sabotage. And that kind of stuff can lead obviously to, you know, addiction and all sorts of you know, poor judgment. This can also be, you know, also if it can also be drawn into, you know, if you're good at, like, if you have a natural affinity to be able to use your psychic gifts or that kind of thing, to be drawn into the dark side of that. So there's a lot of actual talk about that in the media at the moment of, you know, people being accused of, you know, secret things that are happening in, you know, Hollywood and all sorts of places. And I remember seeing that about, like, you know, presidents back in the day as well, years ago, like all that conspiracy theory stuff as well. So now into more about this Arvel dude, Arvel Parrot. He's about communications, and he's also, we've got the two here again, the duality. So we've got the two-faced man, but he's about both sides of communication. It's not just what you're expressing and what you're projecting, because we're always giving and receiving. We're always listening, hopefully, and hopefully we're hearing what we're listening, and also projecting out. So the energy is going both ways. And communication, clear communication, requires clarity. And it requires not just, I watch a lot of the body language stuff. I really watched a lot of the behavior panel at one stage. I went through a really, really big phase of that. And one of the things that really jumped out at me was, like, some of, they do a lot of, like, true crime and stuff, as well as they did the Amber Heard trial, and they did, I think they did the Oprah interview. They did some stuff on the Duke and Duchess of Sussex as well, and just how they're four guys who come together, and I think three of them are military and one of them is more in the kind of the theater, but they watch the videos cold and then they give a response. And I found it really enlightening. Not only is the words that are said and how they're said, and one of my favorite things is one of them, Chase. He's always talking about the missing perpetrator. So watch out for that. You'll often see that in the narcissist empath in the smear campaign. Like, a narcissist will have a really, really strong, just hidden in plain sight. They will tell you, but they'll tell you what they did, but they'll actually project it onto somebody else. But they're very slick. I mean, what the, some of the, they looked at an interview with Manson. They looked at an interview with, oh, a bunch of them anyway, and it's really terrifying. I heard one reader once saying, yeah, a player's never going to come up to you and go, let me play my games all over you. So you have to be wise to not only what's being said, but how it's being said and what is their body doing as well. And they also, one of them also says that the organism does what the organism knows, what always worked for the organism. I'm butchering the phrase, but it's very interesting that, and they say, communication, like outward communication, is something like 7% verbal or something like that. The rest is your tone of voice and your, how you are in your body and all that kind of stuff. And Arvel the parrot talks about, and I'm getting, so parrot is mimic. You want to be able to have authentic communication. And I watched some debates as well, and I didn't really grow up in I'd never really been, I guess, exposed to debate. And I've looked at some online debates, and there's this whole, and not just the presidential debates, other things, but like, where I forget what the debate is called, but it was, they had teams, and Stephen Fry was on one of them, and Malcolm Gladwell was on one of them, and a few different people anyway. And it's interesting to me to see how these guys, they get a subject and they're told which side to argue. So it's more the kind of like there's you get a certain time limit to articulate what you want to say. Both sides get equal time, and it's up to you to do the research and to gain an understanding of both sides. Like, how can you make an informed decision if you don't have all the facts? And you don't know how it lands in your body. If you don't genuinely know how you feel about something, how on earth are you supposed to make a decision about it? So it's a difference between really feeling the subject, being educated on the subject, and education yourself. Like, not only what does somebody say, there's a lot of people who give opinion, but if they have a different experience. They have a different life. They have a different set of cards on the table. Their goals are different. What they're here to do, their purpose is different. So unless, we're back to know thyself, unless you know yourself and not just like how it sits with you and what your values are and what you want to achieve and who you want to be, you can't really execute in a holistic, authentic way. And that's what Arvel the parrot talks about. He talks about calm debate, listening rather than waiting to speak, and pay attention to trailing sentences. They have a word for that. I forget what that is. And to communicate well takes effort. Anyone can mimic, anyone can parrot somebody else's ideas, but like to really integrate them into your being, to strive for brilliance in your communication. And look at this white light here, brilliance, and his antennae. So he's both listening, he's feeling, and that the throat chakra is Venus, and Venus deals with values, truth, communication. Venus rules the throat and the throat and the neck. And then we have that phrase, like people talking out of both sides of their neck, So it's really, really something to aspire to and to work towards, and it takes effort. And that's where we have, again, the Saturnian influence. Alligator medicine is about digesting, and we kind of talked about that. And I don't know if you've ever heard as well that they have the stomach is like a second brain, and we talk about digesting ideas and, you know, kind of chewing something over and sleeping on it. And when we sleep on something, like, we're processing it through the night. You know, they say don't, and when we get up in the morning, we might have a fresh idea because we might have a fresh perspective because we've slept on it. Like, not to be reactive, but to be responsive and to observe and to be discerning. So these all really very much for me, like, really confirm each other, and they're all part of the same. I'm getting moon energy from this as well, from the silver, actually. And that's intuition. That's Cancerian. And it is alchemy. And it's about truth. And it's about seeing in the dark side of the moon. It's about the moonlight, the sun reflecting off the moon, and being able to see in the darkness. And these two are quite dark colors, but there's a lightness too. And the lightness is the truth. The lightness is spirit. The lightness is awareness. And then I'm getting the sword of truth. So you're someone who has the ability to pull the sword out of the stone, for sure. And not everybody can do that. Only someone with a purifying the illusions, and operating from a place of truth. So communication has been a huge part of the lessons, the karmic lessons, I believe, that you're here to possibly teach, as well as definitely embody, definitely lead by example, but also maybe you're a teacher. Maybe you're a communicator, maybe you're an author, maybe you come up with new ideas because you know how to digest and how to really sit in that energy. And there's something that the power of veto is coming through. And I know I come from I was born and raised in Ireland, but that's not all my ethnicity, but it's what I know culturally, and I've explored other cultures. I also have ancestors from India, and also have ancestors from Africa, but through the islands, through the Caribbean islands. So I really feel I have draws to those, especially Egypt and Hinduism. I definitely are very drawn to both of those very, very strongly, and they pop up a lot in my life. But in Ireland, the president, it doesn't have the same kind of power that the president would have. I live in the US now, but doesn't have the same kind of power that the US president has, but they do have a power of veto. And Arvel Parrot talks about how it takes two to communicate effectively, but it only takes one to say no. So I'm going to pull some tarot cards for you now, but I feel like that you are someone who you're very good at being in conversation with somebody, but you need to be in conversation with an adult. And if you walk away from a conversation, it's because you've got judgment out. It's because you're aware that it's pointless. You cannot be in conversation, a productive conversation, a deep conversation, an honest, authentic, truthful conversation, with a party who is not willing to come in good faith, who's not willing to communicate from, that is temperance, I believe, but I might have to look that up, who is not willing to, and two major arcana straight out here. My gosh, you communicate, God communicates through you, the angels communicate through you. You are a voice of truth, and it's because of this work that you have done. So you may have been somebody who grew up a lot around a bunch of people who were afraid to tell the truth. I feel like you're somebody who knows the power of speaking truth to power. You want to engage with adults. And there's that phrase who, like, small people talk about people, and mediocre people talk about events, and elevated people talk about ideas. So you, I feel like, don't do and I relate to this, to be honest, and I've had this said back to me as well. Like, I'm not good with small talk. You've got the Three of Swords, so you may have been burned. So swords are also it's air energy, it's communication, and the Three of Swords is betrayal. So you may have been lied to a lot. You may have been betrayed through, people. You may have been gaslit a lot, and it's very painful when you realize that you have been had a lot by people, and I think that is something that you have had to overcome, and you did that by. So what also happens, I watch a lot of I've been binge watching John Deloney, and he's a therapist, but he also works on the Ramsey show. So there's the money side, and there's the so he does that, but he also has his own show where you can call in. So he's kind of like a modern day version of Fraser Crane, and he always says behavior is a language. But he talks about how that when parents don't tell the truth to their kids, that the kids can feel it in their body, because they pick up on the anxiety of other people. They pick up on the anxiety of their parents. And what's his name? Oh, Eckhart Tolle says how when parents, stay together, and I'm back to Saturn again, and Jupiter is father and husband as well, and Saturn is also father. So maybe you had a father who was very strict, or was the total opposite, who just had a lot and just was kind of not able to control himself. But he might have been, so you might have had very conflicting energies around you in terms of, like, so he could have been somebody who was like super wealthy but was really a miser and would only made you kind of sing for your supper, or he could have been somebody who was like had a lot of money but he was completely didn't know what to do with it, and these are just examples of how the energy might play out. But he didn't have the discipline to be able to teach you how to be generous of yourself and how to manage his own resources, or that kind of thing. So that's a couple of the ways it could play out. You've now got the Hierophant again. So we talked already about you having the voice of God. Hierophant talks directly to God. So you may have scared the living daylights out of people that you were around when you were younger, because you just innately knew when they were lying to you. So that would again lead to being gaslit. So now we have the Queen of Wands. And the Queen of Wands, she's creative, she's badass, she takes no BS, and she knows who she is, and she is powerful, and she's beautiful, and she has that Aries energy, that's Leo actually, sorry. So she has that she knows who she is, and she shines. So through truth, through that fire, you're the Queen of Wands. We have got the that is the Knight of Swords. The Knight of Swords is a fast-moving energy. So I feel like you actually really metabolize things really quick. I feel like you can take in a lot of different I don't know who it was, but they say that genius is the ability to have a lot of different types of so you can be strong mentally, you can be strong emotionally, you can be strong in your body, you can be strong in creativity, you can be strong spiritually. Genius is the ability to master all those modalities. Is a description that I've heard of it. So I feel like that's what I'm getting from the Ace of Swords. I'm also getting you're very, very intelligent. You get a lot of messages. We have the sword repeated, this sword energy. So I feel like you're very articulate. You're very, very smart, but you come by that really in a very holistic way through your body. And with the Queen of Wands, that's suggesting to me creativity as well. And you know that they also say, it was one, I don't know if it was Mozart. Oh my goodness. This is Lady Justice. In this deck, it's card number 8 and it's usually card number 3. And this is reminding me of the 8th house as well. So we've got Judgment, we've got the Hierophant, we've got Temperance, and we've got Justice. So I feel like you have had to metabolize a lot of grief. You've been lied to a lot. You have been flying blind a lot. You've been in the dark a lot. And you've had to really look at what people do and notice when people are out of integrity, when their words and their actions do not align. And when you realize and recognize that you've been lied to, it can be very painful, especially when it's people that you love. And that is suggesting to me that you may have fallen for a lot of lies. And goodness, again, that back to that Eckhart Tolle thing, which I don't think I finished, was he was saying that when kids when parents stay together for the kids, that the kids are the ones who absorb that, they digest it, and John Deloney calls it like a GPS gets imprinted in that child's nervous system, and then they have to metabolize that. And when they don't do that, as Eckhart Tolle says, is that they go out and they replicate that in their adult lives. So John Deloney also says that what kept you safe as a child will destroy your adult relationships. So you may have been somebody that maybe had dealt with borderline personality, like a nervous system issue, complex PTSD, ADHD, and those things are they're both, to be honest, they're hard. They're really, really hard. And I know because I have we've got the Knight of Pentacles as well, just popped out. So this actually rings true really, really strongly for me. And we're just going to take that as well because it's the world. You are the world and death. So you've had a lot to overcome, pile number 1 or pile number 2. You might want to check pile number 1. But pile number 2, you've had a lot to overcome in your in terms of truth and getting to the truth of this incarnation. And wherever you are in your journey, you are a truth sayer. You speak truth, you are truth, and you have worked for that. And you have had to let go of things that really, really, really hurt you. I also think that you're somebody who has very strong Saturnian energy, and that's reminding me of Shravana, which is I think it's in Capricorn, but Capricorn is the bridge between heaven and earth. And you may be someone who, as soon, like, you know, you can watch people just F up their whole lives and it seems like that they get away with it. But I bet you if you tell a lie, you get caught straight away, because truth is something that such an important lesson for you. You wanted to be able to, I feel like in past lives, because we've got this ancestors here versus deity, that through past lives, you've been had over and over and over again. And you came down this incarnation and you were like, absolutely no more. I want to be able to tell when people tell me lies. I don't want to be gaslit anymore. And I feel like you've been through it in terms of that process, but it's leading you to be the Hierophant, to be the world, to ending that cycle. Look at this beautiful rainbow. I'm going to leave it there, pile number 2. This has been a long one. I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy for you. And if you'd like to share anything in the comments, please do. And it would be so great if you would feel called to like, comment, share, subscribe if you like my content. And hopefully I will see you at another reading at another time. And namaste, pile number 2. It's been a pleasure reading for you today. So take only what resonates, and that's what's cooking in your cauldron. So, pile number 3. Let's start with pile number 3 now. Take this away. I'll put up pile number 3. And you had the double-pointed quartz crystal that I was gifted to by Mother Gaia herself. And you've got the wild child essence, the fawn. Okay, so your nakshatra is Maga, the magnificent one. Beautiful. And straight away, the yellow is reminding me of Leo and sunshine and play and inner child. Your soul card, ooh, gorgeous. Holding an egg. Beautiful. Wow. 52, the rar. Rar. Sorry, I don't know why I did that. And you've got owl medicine, 21. Alrighty. Alrighty. So, pile number 3. Maga, Maga, Maga. So, Maga's got K2 sun kind of energy. K2 is the south node. So we've got K2 there. And they're not planets, they're calculated points. And the south node is, so we hear a lot about the south node and the north node. And in Vedic, it's K2 and Rahu. And the K2 is the south node and Rahu is the north node. And K2 is the headless one. So it's all about the body. And K2 operates on its own kind of, has its own logic, I guess, because it's disembodied, but it's also the animal. It's also past lives, what we've come from. So in order, what I was trying to get at is that I hear a lot about not everyone, but lots of people can get a little bit, oh, my north node, my north node, my north node. And that's, kind of where you're going, your destiny. And that's amazing. But you have built up past life, not only karma, like, karmas that we want to burn, but also gifts and knowledges, gifts and knowledge and beautiful karmas and wisdom from past lives that is the foundation of how we actually navigate towards our north node, towards Rahu, towards our destiny. So the symbol of the power to leave the body, and that makes sense with K2. Power, status, ancestors. So we're talking about past lives. The magnificent one, and it's in Leo. I didn't even see that. And its symbol is the throne. It's the star of power. And K2 is actually the south node of the moon, which I discovered recently. So it's giving me the maternal lineage. I'm getting, even though Leo is it's a male sign because it's a sun ruled sign. and Sun is a male, but you've got K2, which is the south node of the moon. So you've got the duality of the masculine and the feminine energies. And the moon reflects the sun. And the moon has a different kind of power, and it's sight by night. And so you have that. It's giving me divine feminine, and it's also giving me ancestors and past lives. And Petrus actually is Petrus is ancestors versus deity. I actually made that mistake in pile 2. I mixed up that deity was, anyway, that's not your pile, so never mind about it. So it's the star of power and the star of transport, which makes sense, the power to leave the body. So you're very likely able to astral project, and if you don't do that consciously when you're awake in your meditations, you very likely are able to do that in your sleep, and you probably do that. So maybe you get a lot of messages in your dreams. I'm getting bloodlines, DNA, the maternal and the paternal line, past lives. And you may have had, being the throne, you may have had past lives where you were royalty. It's all about, of course, it's giving me solar plexus chakra as well, with the yellow and the sun. And that's a male, masculine chakra. And that's all about personal power. And that's the driving force to act. And we need to be grounded in and see, it's red for being rooted. So in order to be able to affect our power well, we need to be able to ground into our body, and to be able to be master of our own emotions, rather than be thrown about by the emotions. And again, in this card, I'm very strongly seeing the egg here. So this is also reminding me of, and I'm feeling like you're being held by your ancestors very strongly. And this figure, to me, I'm getting masculine. So I feel like you've very strong masculine energies around you, but I'm also getting very strong sacral chakra around here. So I feel like you've also got very strong female ancestry that walks with you. So you may actually be a medium as well. So you may be able to talk to departed spirits and pass down loved ones. That's entirely possible. Personal power needs to be used well, of course, because we all have personal responsibility for who we are and what we bring. With this power, I guess the risk is that we can be drawn into an ego-led kind of an abuse of power, rather than a mature use of power. Power is a tool. Authority is a tool, but power is something that's kind of more innate to us. We all have power, but to be able to wield that power in an effective way, maybe like how to command versus demand power is maybe one of the lessons that you're working through this lifetime. Pile number 3. And it's reminding me of that quote. I don't know who it's by, but it says that power does not always roar. Sometimes it's that quiet voice that says, I will try again tomorrow. That is actually, so with the egg and with this, what I'm getting for you, pile number 3, is that maybe you came in some small way. And what I mean by that, you might be small in your body. Maybe you you didn't have a lot of resources available to you, but you have an immense presence and power. So you may have been someone who was around people who misused their power, who had resources, but did not know how to effectively wield it in a way that is benevolent, in a way that is honoring of the power that they were gifted, that is in a way kind and generous. You may have been around people that were, arrogant and led by their egos and, do as I say, not as I do. You may have come up against ruthlessness. You may really have had to be someone who learned how to stand up to power in order to embody your own personal power. Because when you don't learn that for yourself, you're always dependent on whoever it is that gives you the power. So past life regression, if you haven't done that, it might be something to look into. It might be, you might have some interesting past lives. I forget, I'm thinking of, what's her name? Dolores Cannon and Brian Weiss are two of the ones, and you can look some of their stuff up on at YouTube, and it's interesting how, you hear those stories about, especially in and we're back to K2 again. This is interesting as well. Sometimes when somebody gets a transplant, let's say a heart transplant or a liver transplant or something like that, they may have memories from the person, because our body, our DNA holds emotions, holds information. So now I'm getting exercises very, very important for you to metabolize, and I'm getting this with the sacral chakra, in order to move the energy through your body to access your power, and for it not to be clouding, contaminating to get to the purity of who you are. Exercise might be really, really good for you, would be really, really good for you. And probably intense exercise as well. And that will really, really help ground your emotions. Those exercises where you're like, it's so intense that you're like, literally, you don't even, like, you can't form a sentence. You can't talk, but your body is just in the rhythm. And then I remember, I never used to run, and I had a bad experience running when I was younger, when I was about 10, I'd say, and I was overweight as a kid. When I was 8, my crazy at the time, I don't even know, I can't even call it well-meaning, but I'm gonna call it ignorant. My parents, when I was 8, took me into a room. I was out playing in a playground, and they brought me into a room, and they were like, so here's a diet. You're fat, basically. I'm paraphrasing, but they had a collective age of freaking probably 70 or near around about that. And two towering adults looking down at little old me, and were like, you're fat. Here's your diet. And nobody else in the house was on the diet, so it was very body shaming. But it turned up in all sorts of crazy ways as I got older. Now I've dealt with that, and I've tried to talk to them about it, but well, I'll just leave it at that for now. Anyway, so what I'm saying is that making friends with your body and treating your body with respect and learning to talk to your body as well. You might be interested in body testing. That's another thing. So there's a thing where, like, the body never lies. You know that phrase where they say, do it not until you can do it right. Do it until you can't do it wrong. So that's the building of the muscle memory. But body testing is also like, after meditating, because I wouldn't recommend it, because a lot of projection can happen as well. So after maybe, doing a strong workout or something where your defenses are low in that time, doing the body testing. And one simple way of doing it is just, if you have your fingers like in a loop like this, and you say, so we know my name is Alicia. So if I say, my name is Alicia, my name is Alicia, my name is Alicia, my name is Alicia, my body knows that's true. I am literally trying as hard as I can to pull these fingers apart. I cannot pull them apart. I can't do it. I'm trying, like I'm using the full force of, it's the thumb and this finger. I can't do it. If I say, my name is Rachel, my body knows that's true. And my name is Rachel. My name is Rachel, and I'm really trying to keep these together. My name is Rachel. I can't do it. My name is Mary. I can't do it. I mean, so that is, it's really cool stuff, actually. But anyway, and even as well, DNA, ancestry, information held in the body, they're now looking at scientifically how to, data storage. They have these storage farms, and they take a huge amount of energy and power to kind of keep them running. But they're talking about like the amount of data that can be actually stored in our DNA is huge. So our body is a technology. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps. Crystals. I bet you can talk really, really. Your body can talk to crystals, whether or not you know it. So crystals might be something that you are, and this one, oh my gosh. So this is a crystal that I picked myself. It was, it spoke to me, and it showed up when I was out crystal mining, and it's beautiful. And my house is full of crystals now. And I only got into tarot and crystals about 5 years ago, but I, just dived in because it really resonated. I feel it in my body. Musically as well. Maybe you feel things in your body. Maybe you have an instrument. Like when you hear music, where do you feel it in your body? When you have a feeling, where do you feel it in your body? Yoga Nidra might be something really, really good for you as well, because that is about withdrawing a lot of stimuli, withdrawing the stimuli. Being out in nature is probably really, really good for you as well. Pile number 3. So look, well, I feel like that's what's cooking in your cauldron right now. Your cauldron is your body, and that's again like the chop wood, carry water. It's the sitting down and doing the meditation, not trying to not being in your head, being in your body. And your way to your destiny is through your body and through your self-expression. Maybe you're someone who likes to dance, for example. So maybe you express yourself through your body. Maybe it's how you dress. Maybe you've had, you've been body shamed too. Maybe you have had, your body conversations. Your body's trying to tell you something, but and that's maybe that's how you understand the world, is how you feel things through your body. So the RAR, this is wild, pure potential energy. It's pure potential. It's pure energy, and it's neutral. So again, we're back to power, because this is raw power. And it's that and raw power can be used for light or dark. And it's interesting because I was reading about the different, that we're ascending as a planet. So Earth right now is moving from the age of Pisces to Aquarius, but also we're ascending to 5D. And those souls that are willing to walk the path with the light will be ascending. And it's not a doomsday kind of thing. It's not like that. It's I mean, that's the way my human brain is able to understand it. And of course, I have a limited human brain, and I have limited vocabulary in terms of, like, you know, communication is so much more than just this. Like, our oracally, our bodies are talking. We're talking on the astral. We're talking with our bodies. My body, like, we have body language between us. When you walk into a room, you can feel the tension, or you can feel the joy, and you can just feel it. And it's all that other stuff. And we get free will. Free will. Free will. Free will. Free will is the right to choose how we're going to exercise that power, that energy. The free will is whether we're going to walk towards the light or we're going to walk away from it. Demon is the absence of light, and divine is the light of God. And we have the opportunity, and we have the choice. And it's like, many are called, but few are chosen. And chosen ones, God doesn't choose us. God chooses everyone. We choose ourselves. We choose whether to walk in the light and to master our bodies, master our mind, master our emotions, master our earthly existence. And how we go about that is our choice. And I'm hearing Maya Angelou. Courage is the most important of all the virtues, because without it, we cannot exercise the other virtues consistently. So I feel like power is a real strong thing that you're working with, and you have immense power. And then, of course, the owl. Owl medicine, that is wisdom. And roar. I'm getting like the engine. The little engine that could chop wood, carry water. Chicka, 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 chicka. Train of thought. And I'm seeing that the train of thought that's in, what is it? Inside Out. So that deals with the emotions. And actually in the first, I haven't seen the second Inside Out, but the first Inside Out, the hero of the story actually is sadness. It's not joy. It's not the other ones. It's sadness. And that ability to be able to master the depths and master the emotions. And again, we talked about, you may have been somebody who came up against a lot of grief and heartache because of being around people who didn't choose to use their power in a benevolent way, and who may have been drawn into the ability to pull rank, basically, which is not fun to be around. And what's that phrase that they say, be careful who you step on your way up, because you're going to have to pass them on your way back down. So it's really about, the roar is really about being mindful about your use of power, as with MAGA. So these cards are really just a beautiful, beautiful constellation that just speaks to each other. And roar also, it's reminding me of the engine again. And you think when you have fire and water, you get steam, and steam powers the engine. That's the masculine and the feminine. So integration, as above, so below, as within, so without. Those with eyes to see, ears to hear, and hearts to feel. And then if you think about devil, is lived backwards. How do you want to live? Do you want to live? How do you want to show up in life? Do you want to go towards the light or away from the light? So, pile number 3. Woo! I've goosebumps for you guys. You are powerful. You learn about, you are someone who needs to be very intentional with their power, because you have so much of it. And we're called to center ourselves and to ground when we have access to this really, really, this raw power. And being not grounded can lead to all sorts of crazy carry on. Owl medicine also is the night vision. So we talked about the moon and the sun. So the sun we can navigate in the daylight, but the owl actually hunts at night. So that's again an owl is the companion of Athena as well. So Athena was the goddess of wisdom, and she was a goddess. She was a warrior as well, and she came fully formed out of Zeus's, out of her mother, and fully armored out of her mother, and she I feel like you're very intuitive. So that integration of the masculine and feminine energies is something that's really swirling and simmering, and that is percolating in your, I'm seeing an effervescence in your energy, and it's beautiful. It's like every cell in your body is like this universe unto itself that's just radiating and percolating all of this delicious fairy dust, sparkle dust, stardust. Stardust is a movie that you might want to watch. It's beautiful. I really like it anyway. But then you think about the sun. The sun is a star. So we've got another set of duality here. I bet you're star seed. I'd put money on it, but maybe you're not. Owl medicine, clairvoyance. And it's also known as the night eagle, and that's when it hunts, we said. The owl is associated with magic and omens. So you might be, you might see a lot of things. You might have premonitions. You might see them in your dreams. Or maybe when you are, maybe when you're in meditation, you get downloads through imagery. Or maybe that comes through movies that you're watching or something like that. Or you might be the kind of person when you're reading a book, you see it all. It's not just the words landing. Like, I feel like there's a very visual, and of course Leo also is one of the things that one of the places that rules is theater and play. So maybe role play or visualization is something that's really powerful for you. Obviously avoid black magic. And, for me, black magic is where you're trying to bind because we talked about free will really strongly. You're someone who uses magic only for your own protection and in furthering your service to God, basically. You don't use it to bind or to trick others or to manipulate others. You're dexterous, because manipulation is an ability to be dexterous with energy, and that's what magic is, being dexterous with energy. You might be also very dexterous in your body. You might be someone, like, you might be a contortionist, or maybe you're one of those yogis who can do things that other people just can't get their body to do, because you might have that flexibility. And there's that meme that I've seen on the internet where it's like, I don't break, I bend. So having that, kind of like a sapling bends with the wind. So I feel like you have an ability to reframe and to be flexible, but you also have strength and power in that as well. You're not wishy-washy. You have strength, but you also have flexibility. And the power to change and the power to admit when you're wrong and to acknowledge when you're wrong and to own that and to grow from it is a power, and a power to be vulnerable as well. And Athena also deals in truth. So they call the owl too, because the silent feather. So I feel like that you're very authentic, and I'm getting that also from the Ra, this pure energy, but that's giving me very strong third eye and throat chakra vibes as well. And this egg has got blue around it, and that's like there's, the truth. You deal in truth, pile number 3. You deal in truth. You're not interested in, and I feel like if you do not deal in truth, and we talked again, people pulling rank, do as I say, not as I do. I think you wear power well and you wield it well. Cheapers. You've got the 4 of Wands. That's celebration. That's twin flame card. It's Barney energy as well. You've got the 6 of Wands. That's success. That's the man coming back. That's the general coming back. And the general will be the leader, but he is beloved of his people. And he's seated on a green cape. So he comes, he loves his those under his charge. He wears his authority well. And he is celebrated in that. And his kingdom, whatever that kingdom is, that he rules over, that which he has authority over, that which she has authority over, that which they have authority over, comes from a place of love. And the horse is white and pure. The horse that he rides on, and the horse is also, it's for me, it's a symbol of that freedom. Wild Horses, beautiful song. Love the Alicia Keys version with, I think it's Adam Levine. You can listen to it on Spotify, but it was a Rolling Stones song. You Have Got Lady Justice. This came out in pile 2 as well. She's got the Sword of Truth and she's got the Scales of Justice. And she is on her throne. Throne is echoed here. She's got the Sword of Truth. We talked about truth here. And Athena is associated also with emeralds. And so you might want to check out pile number 1, because pile number 1 had Bharani energy and it also had emerald energy in it. And she's got on her crown, she's got an emerald as well. So she is balanced her truth, and we've got the Tower. So I feel like you've been through many of a tower, and Tower for me is not bad actually. Tower for me is the coming down of the destruction of things that need to go. Look at Mother Nature. Mother Nature, yeah, and the Hermit. So your power comes from within. Your power comes from your own light, from your own heart. The heart is a portal. The heart is a portal. And we kept talking about the body here. You're so heart-centered. And actually, look, Leo rules the heart as well. And brave heart. Ooh, pile number, I'm seeing the lion and the lamb now too. Pile number 3. Look at all you've got these 2 major arcana out here, but these are big energies. You've 3 major arcana. These are big energies. Absolutely gorgeous. And you've the Page of Pentacles. I feel like you've had a lot of transformation. So this for me can be like the Death card, insofar as things that need to go and starting new beginnings. And that's beginner's mind. That's a principle in yoga as well, that and a principle in negotiation as well, to come with not preconceived notions, not prejudging, coming not with prejudice, to purify and then to start anew. Yeah, I feel like you're very good at letting things transform, and that's a skill in of itself. I remember hearing this phrase, which the 5 of Wands has come up. So I feel like you may have been around a lot of competitive people, which again is echoing having to learn how to stand in your own power and being able to hold your own. And I'm getting the Bhagavad Gita now, and there's a song, it's a Pink Floyd song, the Us and Them. The general sat and the lines on the map move from side to side. That's giving me this as well. So you're the kind of general who can wield power well. And you've been in a lot of competition. People see leadership in you. And of course, Leo rules leadership as well. So I don't know if you're in a position of leadership right now, but you command power, pile number 3. Whether or not you know it, you do. When you speak, people listen. So you need to be mindful about what you say. I feel like people have placed a lot of burdens on you. And you may have gotten extremely, look at all this wands energy. I mean, this is amazing. I feel like that you may still be in the Nine of Wands energy, but you're clearing that out. That's what you're here to do. You're here to know your own power. You're here to know that you are the leader. You're here to know that you have good karmas. You're here to know that your intentions are good. And through discipline, which is the ability to give yourself a command and follow it. You may have had people who were stifling that power off of you, and I feel like that's the lesson that you had to learn. And now you've got the Magician. The Magician is the mastery. Look at you've got the infinity sign. You've got all this beautiful abundance down here, and he's standing over his desk. He's got his wand, he's got his cups, he's got his pentacle, and he's got his sword, and he's holding up a staff and towards the light, and he's pointing down to the ground. As above, so below. You're a starseed, I'm sure of it. You're channeling information through your body all the time, whether or not you know it. I want to pull I got these new cards, which I totally forgot about for the other piles, but I want to pull one for you. They are, the guidebook. Sacred Geometry Activations. So I just got this deck, and I'm so excited. But sacred geometry might be something that you, that is of interest to you. And Metatron, Archangel Metatron, he had an incarnation on Earth. So of all of the angels, that might be one, because there's Metatron's cube. That might be one that you could be drawn to. We've got Divine Feminine. So we're going to read it, 21. And we've got 21 here. Athena. Oh my gosh. I've got goosebumps. So let's just read this. The frequency of Divine Feminine supports our receptive, nurturing, and soft side, allowing it to express itself openly and helping us to connect to our intrinsic understanding of our connection to all of creation. Oh my gosh. That really echoes for me, the Magician. But we had moon energy. You have had to learn, because remember we said the South Node? So you are Divine Feminine, but you have had to learn how to call in and master your divine masculine energy and fuse that and alchemize that. And that's what you're learning this lifetime. You're learning how to fight. Bhagavad Gita. The general sat and the lines on the map move from side to side. There's another song, Spiderwebs by Katie Melua. And it's, what is it? I hope he knows when he sends you to fight. So it's talking about sending someone, it's talking about like honorable battle, basically. And sometimes you have to stand up and fight. It's not all about being Gandhi, and it's not all about being adept on the mountain. It's not all about being in a state of bliss and meditation and just oming to God. That's part of it. But sometimes, like the story of Gandhi was, he was in he was in the third class. He sat in the first class carriage, and he said no to power. They were like, get into the where you're supposed to go. You're in the wrong carriage. And he was like, absolutely not. So you're having to be, so what I'm trying to say is that battle does not always look like picking up a sword, but sometimes it does. And knowing when to do that, and knowing when it's appropriate, and being able to master the tools and to be able to do that from a place of divinity is absolutely you. And you've had to master your masculine side, and probably temper your Mars energy to do that, and to learn how to be, strategic. Because I don't see any air on the board, but Athena, she's the goddess of war. You had to learn how to fight your battles and not let somebody else fight them for you. And I'm getting victim, persecutor, rescuer. You had to learn how to rescue yourself, not other people. And let other people, because when you're born into those dynamics, very often your identity can form around being the rescuer, the savior. And that gets coded into your nervous system, and purifying that, alchemizing that has been a huge part of your path. And I'm going to leave it there, pile number 3. It is such a pleasure and a privilege to read for you. Thank you for incarnating at this time. I'm going to pull one more card for you. Oh my goodness. Elders, spiritual mentoring, equality, stability, wisdom, experience, counsels. You are a very wise soul. I just feel like you're a starseed. I feel like you're incredibly wise. An elephant never forgets. You've got the whale here for me, which is a highly galactic being. This elephant has just got these beautiful tusks. It's reminding me of Ganesh and sacred geometry. I think that when you move, you literally walk sacred geometry in our planet. And I just want to say, sending you love and prosperity, and thank you for the work that you do and for being here. And again, if you'd like to, please consider commenting, sharing, or subscribing. And I will see you at another reading. And this is what is in your cauldron, pile number 3. Namaste. Much love to you. Bye-bye.